Hello and welcome. It's the chat. I am Manny. My guest on the program this week is in a class of his own. He's an accomplished scholar who has, for over almost 50 years, been teaching democracy in universities in Nigeria. And he's retired now. Let's find out.
Professor Nuhu Omeza Yaqub is a Nigerian scholar of international repute, a seasoned administrator, publisher, and the former vice-chancellor of the University of Abuja. Born in Okene, Kogi State on March 3, 1951, he attended his primary school in Okene from 1959 to 1965, then traveled to Kano State, where he attended his secondary and post-secondary education at institutions in Kano. At the university level, Nuhu studied political science and graduated with a first-class honours degree at the Bayero University, Kano. He then began teaching at the University of Sokoto, now known as the Usman Danfodio University, Sokoto. While there, he was offered a fellowship to pursue a master's degree in comparative politics at the University of Toronto, Canada. Upon return in 1984, he was again granted another fellowship and a scholarship by the federal government of Nigeria and the Usman Danfodio University, respectively, to pursue his doctorate at the Institute of Development Studies, the University of Sussex, Brighton. After many years as a lecturer, he became a professor in October of 1998. At the Usman Danfodio University, he served as the head of the Department of Political Science, the dean of the Faculty of Social Science, and the coordinator of 4 faculties combined in a collegiate system. He also became the university's deputy vice-chancellor in charge of administrative affairs. This period of tutelage in leadership prepared him for the years ahead. Between 2012 and 2017, he was also the pioneer vice-chancellor of the Sokoto State University. In June 2004, he was appointed the vice-chancellor of the University of Abuja, where he worked for 5 years till May 2009. He also served as the dean of the School of Postgraduate Studies at the now University of Nigeria, Abuja. For his contribution to national development, he was conferred the national honors in the category of the Officer of the Order of the Federal Republic, OFR, conferred on him by late President Umaru Musa Yar'Adua. He is married to Hajiya Oyebola Yaqub, and their marriage is blessed with 3 children who are professionals in their own right.
Fine.
Good to have you on the
Thank
program.
you so very much.
Yes.
Welcome to my house.
Yes.
My little house.
And you live in it. How did it all begin for you?
Well, it all began in 1959.
Okay.
When my father decided I should go to school. And it happened that the school that he took me to for my primary education was also owned by my Islamic teacher, whose Islamic Quran school I attend. But the most interesting thing about my primary school was that we were pioneers. And when we got there, just like what happened with Mayfair School in Ikene by late Dr. Tai Solari.
Tai Solari, yes.
Yeah, the pupils had to be involved in building, putting up the structures.
Oh, really?
Yes. You know.
The Mayfair you're saying, or Mayflower?
Mayflower, sorry,
Okay,
Mayflower.
yes.
Mayflower,
Right.
yes, Mayflower. Yeah. So we bought into the primary school, so to say, and it became part of us throughout the 7 years we spent at that time. We were spending kids were spending 7 years.
Your hand had to get to
oh
the
yes,
EFF
that's right.
before.
That's right. So it was quite an interesting, experience going to primary school.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, so you grew up, up to that stage where you got into university.
Yeah.
And decided you were going to study
Political science. Yes.
And then you finished immediately studying. You became a lecturer.
Yeah, no, not immediately. I made first class.
Wow.
Yes, in my undergraduate studies, and I was expecting that my university, Bayero University, would retain me, but they did not retain me. And I asked the question, what was wrong? And later I got to know that one, there was a very fiery and highly tempestuous, let me put it that way, lecturer of mine, who I was also closely associated with. And he was always the one, giving us revolutionary ideas, Marxism and the rest of them. So he became like a thorn in the flesh of the administration of the university. And what they did was, they said no, they had already had him. They would not allow him to come, to get some of his boys, as it were, that will probably create headache for the administration.
There was a time you had to even lecture in Oslo, Norway.
I went to for a summer program.
University of Oslo,
In Norway.
How did you find the education environments there?
Very, very fantastic. Facilities were there.
I'm sure you would have also experienced in the university then that, if you go in for a 3-year program, it's for 3 years.
Oh, yes.
It's not like, a young man would come here for a 4-year program. He does 7 years in the university.
Not at all.
How does that make you feel?
We are wasting resources a great deal in this country, comparatively, because you allow children to go to school for a course that they will have spent 4 years or 3 years, and they end up spending 6 years, 7 years. It's sheer waste of resources. Resources both, human and natural, as well as financial.
You eventually became the vice chancellor of the University of Abuja.
Let me just provide a little background to that.
Why not?
I rose through the ranks in Osman Danfodio, where I took up teaching appointment to become a professor in 1998. Mm-hmm. And then at that point, I had also become a deputy vice chancellor. After having headed the Department of Political Science, having been dean of the Faculty of Social Science, and also having served as the coordinator of 4 faculties. We had a collegiate system in Osman Danfodio, and I was as the dean, the senior dean of the faculties. We had 4 faculties under me. I was made the coordinator of the faculties. We had a section of the bursary attached to my office, and we were able to coordinate, the activities. And it was that training that prepared me eventually for the job I came to do subsequently. That is, I became deputy vice chancellor within the university, and that also, enhanced or honed me so very much, in administrative activities in the university. Coming to University of Abuja was providential, let me put it that way, because I was an external candidate. There were internal candidates, there were also some other external candidates. We all interviewed together. Let me also put it in context that probably I would not have been, except for one major problem within the university. We are 3 whose names were selected and sent to the president. But Obasanjo was the president then, to select one. And there was, very terrible rivalry on the campus in University of Abuja. The 2 other candidates were internal candidates, and they created camps. In the press, they were attacking one another. And Obasanjo just said, well, if you give it to one of the 2 internal candidates, they
will tear the university apart.
Yeah, that's right. Give it to somebody who is coming from outside.
Okay, and that's how you got it.
That's what I mean by, it was protection. And I got it. And, I was actually able to reconcile, because by the time I left after 5 years, there was nothing like, rivalry or, division of the campus into camps.
What did you do?
What I did was simply to say, I was for everybody. And I was also able to come up with programs that further enhance, what I would say the essence of the university should be. In other words, I came in, there were only 6 faculties, and only one of them was offering science program. When I came and I said, and then the federal government policy is that conventional university like University of Abuja should have students in the proportion or the ratio of 60% science and 40% arts. But when I came, the ratio was 82% arts and 18%, science. There
was a lot of inequity.
Inequity, yeah, that's right.
Right. Okay.
So I introduced for what some of them came to say, it was money guzzling programs, medicine, engineering, veterinary medicine, and agriculture.
You did all that
all this,
at
yes.
the University of Abuja.
And they are also.
I was just going to ask you what legacy you left behind.
They have survived, and I'm quite happy to also say that it was, vision that made me to introduce these programs, and it has been particularly medical studies have been quite.
Is that all you want to be remembered for?
Well, again, I also moved the campus from its primary school setting to the permanent site. I literally speaking, built the campus.
You did all of this, and
I did.
In that period, you were vice chancellor.
In 5 years,
there were no strikes.
No strikes. Well, the students, we only had one minor strike. One day, if I could recall, there was a student that was killed because of cultism. And, this was also one battle I fought against cultism. The students even wanted to kill me because I didn't allow them.
And you didn't want to die anyway, so.
No, again, I wouldn't have done, it's just again divine intervention.
Okay.
Yeah. The cultists had arranged with a driver who will take them to the campus the day they set to come and kill me. As I will drive into my parking place, and I try to alert from the car, then somebody will throw a petrol bomb at me. That was the plan. And the guy said, what had this gentleman done to you people? He said, he will not allow us to carry out our cultist activities. So he now went and told the divisional police DP officer, together with my chief advisor on security. Mm-hmm. And that day, it
was quelled.
This was quelled.
What I found very disgusting the other day, I was watching a documentary on television about state of infrastructure in one of our earliest universities, University of Nigeria in Nsukka.
That's right.
I think it's the hostel that's I saw the shot. How did you make someone like you feel seeing that at all in a state of squalor?
Yeah, it was something that disturbed me.
In terms of residence accommodation for students, did you make any improvements?
I did. I'm talking about, we expanded especially hostel facilities.
Because it seems that arguments are that these are the reasons why all these cultists, develop from, not being inside the university campus, but outside accommodation outside the university.
Yeah, well,
is that true?
That may not be entirely correct, but I also think that this larger society has contributed a great deal to the phenomenon of cultism. These students came from society into the small space they occupied in the university, and some of them actually came from homes where they knew their parents were cultists.
What do you think we can do to eradicate such practices on university campuses?
Well, I think what I think we should try to do is attack the problem from the larger society. If you do not, and you leave the problem in the larger society intact, they are still going to produce, the parents or whoever, the big ones that are cultists, they will still produce, successors.
Pick a question. Okay.
How concerned are you about the frequent invasion of schools and kidnapping of students by bandits and kidnappers? I'm very much concerned. Very, very much concerned. As an educator, I think, the worst that can ever happen to any society is a situation in which, children who are eager to learn cannot learn. Just because it's not that even the minimum facilities are there, but that there is somebody who thinks that they should not be allowed to learn. Denying any person from gaining knowledge is condemning that person to, if he lives long-term poverty, inability to actually, be self-reliant, and unable also, as a result, to contribute to the development of society. The society is always in a state of flux. And we as human beings are the ones that are actually coming to make changes as a result of the development process that is going on in society. And you can only do that when you have acquired knowledge.
What do you think the government is not doing right?
One of the things is that anybody who is paying ransom to kidnappers is actually worsening the situation of kidnapping and banditry in this country.
But do you not think that ransom has saved many lives?
Well, it has. Well, I don't know what lives are saved as such. Yes, people will be released, but they will have gone through trauma. And the parents or relatives will have, paid ransom. Money they will have used for something like it's opportunity cost. Opportunity cost of.
So what is government not doing right then?
What the government is not doing well is simply the fact that we have not sat down to discuss the security challenges we are faced with. It's more complex than merely saying change the defense chiefs and appoint an inspector general of police. First of all, people have complained that we don't have adequate security manpower. Government is not addressing this. Why? What is painful to me in particular is that some of these kidnappers, they are known. So people are getting in touch with them. Sheikh Gumi, was one of those, scholars, clerics, that has gone to their den of activities to even discuss the process of negotiating payment or how to release the kidnapped people. And I'm saying that, if we have access to these people, bring them to book, for goodness sake. Why do you have to go and give them money? No, there must be seriousness about governance. This is the problem we are faced with in this country.
As you sit back, retired, doing your own thing these days, when is the next ASU strike going to come up?
Well, let me say,
it's like a yearly event, isn't it?
I have retired now. I'm no more a member of ASU.
It's like a yearly, it's a carnival.
Do you know that, when I was VC in Abuja, we never had ASU strike.
Really?
Internal, none.
Why?
Because, I met the needs of my staff. I was giving everybody who, genuinely wanted to go for conference.
Are you accusing other vice chancellors?
No.
What are you saying?
What I'm saying is to the effect that, there are problems, sedimented, demands that are not met either by government.
Is that a pattern of governance?
This is what I'm saying should not be. What we teach in political science is that there are demands, and there are systems of support, in governance.
Okay.
The people you preside over as president will have demands on you. We need education, we need health facilities, and blah, blah, blah. And it is also the responsibility of the government to provide. And when government is incapable or is not willing Because actually, what I discover in this country is that governments are not willing to do what they're supposed to do. You have governors who are stealing their money, who are corruptly, embezzling their money the money of the state, or denying the local government structures finances to also carry out their own responsibilities. Government has responsibility to meet the needs of the people that have put them in power.
Yes.
And if they don't do it, then there are various ways. Either they switch allegiance when it comes to the next round of elections, and they will not vote the government back to power. We've seen it here. I mean, governors have been, some governors have been removed from office on account of lack of performance. But of course, some of them, realizing that they are not even performing very well, they indulge in electoral malpractice.
Is that all for you in public service? Are you thinking of going into politics?
Myself, no, I don't have. I keep on saying I don't have the disposition to go into politics.
Nigerian politics.
Yeah, because you have to be a liar, and you have to also if you don't have the money, you have to get a godfather to sponsor you.
Recently, on the occasion of the 80th birthday of former President Ibrahim Babangida, he gave hints of people he thinks can be president in this country. Do you have an opinion?
Well, I don't know what role he wants to play, whether he is also assuming the role of the godfather.
Well, he's an elder statesman.
I thought he should be spending his remaining days
sitting down and keeping quiet.
Keeping quiet, or even thinking more deeply. Honestly, I'm not happy over the statement he has made.
Really?
During this celebration of city. I want to congratulate him for God sparing his life, his life up to this point. But to say, for instance, that there was a saintly corruption
during the military.
No, during his time, compared to what is happening now.
Don't you agree?
It was no.
Do you agree or not?
No, the basic point is this: is corruption good for anybody?
No. But he's saying theirs is better than
No. That's what I'm saying. That how can you make saintly corruption? No.
As a professor of political science, who was for a long time lecturing democracy, how do you want to assess our democracy so far?
We have no democracy. That's the point I'm making in my paper. There's no democracy in this country. What we have is civilian rule as compared to military rule.
Let's find out, what are these 5 items that you take along with you?
Well, I will first of all take my Quran.
Yeah?
That's one item.
You're a devout Muslim, aren't you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Secondly, I will have to go with writing materials.
Okay. So what's the third one?
Yes, I will go with the album of my grandchildren.
That's lovely. How many children do you have?
3.
3?
Yes.
For a Muslim?
Well, I have only one wife.
That's interesting.
Yes.
And then what is the 4th one?
The fourth one will be, of course, the phone now.
Yeah.
I need the phone to be in touch.
Okay.
Yes.
And finally?
And yes, I like to cook. I will go with my food. Nobody's going to.
You like cooking?
I like cooking, yes.
Do you like eating as well?
Well, I like to eat food, but I only eat 2 meals in a day, breakfast and dinner.
What would you be reflecting on while you're, castaway in that period?
Yeah, I will be thinking about Nigeria. Actually, I'm very passionate about this country.
Okay.
Yes. At this stage of my life, Nigeria is first, Nigeria is second, Nigeria is third. And if I'm cast away and in my own little world, I will always be thinking about what is going to happen to Nigeria. I hope it can survive. Nigerian people are very beautiful people. All this talk about, Nigeria would disintegrate. I say, well, agents of doom can be saying whatever they like. God who brought us together will always see to it that will remain one.
That's a good place to live in. Thanks, Professor Nuhu,
Thank you
for
so
being
very
on the
much.
program. It's been The Chat. I am Manny. Catch you next time.
The Chat is produced by Channels Television. You can watch it again online. Just visit our social media platforms, YouTube, Facebook.